Hey everyone, in this video we are going to be talking about how making a sandwich and how an equation for a sandwich relates to chemistry, and more specifically how it relates to something called stoichiometry in chemistry. So if you have these sheets of paper, then you can just write on them. If you don't, then you're going to need to write down all the stuff in bold on your sheet of paper and then write below it what I'm writing in my red Sharpie, okay? So the first thing that you need to have down is the fact that we're going to start out with 6 slices of bread, 9 slices of ham, and 3 slices of cheese, okay? So each not slice of bread, each sandwich. So here, each sandwich requires 2 slices of bread, 3 slices of meat, and 1 slice of cheese. Okay, so in order for us to make our sandwich, that's what we need. So write a chemical equation for making a sandwich. All right, so we just said that we need 2 slices of bread. So our coefficient would be 2 slices of bread plus 3 slices of meat plus 1 slice of cheese, and that gives us, or that forms, 1 sandwich. Okay, I wrote a little too big with my slices of bread, but here's our equation, and I got this just from what we were given. So 2 slices of bread, that 2's our coefficient, 3 slices of meat, so 3 is going to be our coefficient, and meat here is ham, 1 slice of cheese. Put all of that together and we get 1 sandwich. Okay, so using the equation from above, if you use 6 slices of bread, how many sandwiches would you be able to make? Show your work below. So we are going to start out with this 6 slices of bread. Okay, so we're setting up one of our conversions. So if we're starting with bread on the top, we need bread on the bottom, and then we need sandwich on the top. Okay, now using my equation up here, okay, it takes 2 slices of bread to make 1 sandwich. So then 6 divided by 2 is going to give me 3 sandwiches. Okay, so what that means is that if I'm given 6 slices of bread, all right, and I was told using this equation that it takes 2 slices, then I can only make 3 sandwiches. Okay, same thing if we come up here. Using the equation from above, if you use 9 slices of ham, how many sandwiches would you be able to make? So we have 9 slices of ham, so we would start out with 9 slices of ham, okay? Then, what am I going to put on the bottom? Well, I'm going to put ham on the bottom because I need that to cancel out. And then I'm going to have sandwich on the top. So my equation up here tells me that I can have 3 slices of ham to make 1 sandwich. So 9 divided by 3 is going to give me 3 sandwiches. Okay, and then this next one, use the equation from above. If you use 3 slices of cheese, how many sandwiches would you be able to make? Show your work below. So 3 slices of cheese. Okay, and then you try this one on your own. All right, so I'm going to leave this one for you to do, and then whenever you submit this, I'll look over it and see if you have done that one correctly. Okay, now let's say we are using this same equation, so right here, and I'll write it up here at the top. So 2 slices of bread plus 3 slices of ham plus 1 slice of our cheese gives us 1 sandwich. Okay, so using the equation from above, if you wanted to make 10 sandwiches, how many pieces of ham would you need? Show your work below. So this time we are starting out with our sandwiches. So sandwich is going to have to go on the bottom because, again, that's what I want to cancel out. And then I'm trying to get to ham. All right? So 1 sandwich, okay, takes 3 pieces of ham. So 10 times 3 gives us 30 pieces, or 30 slices, either way you want to say it, of ham. Okay? Next one, using the equation from above, if you wanted to make 7 sandwiches, how many slices of bread would you need? Show your work below. Well, this time we're going to start out with 7 sandwiches. We know 1 sandwich. Okay, and then we need bread. Well, from our equation up here, takes 2 slices of bread. So 7 times 2 equals 14 slices of bread. Okay? The next one says, using the equation from above, if you wanted to make 4 sandwiches, how many slices of cheese would you need? Show your work below. So again, I am going to go through, I'm going to set this one, start it for you. This one you do on your own. Okay? So you right now, you have the using the equation from above 3 slices of cheese, how many sandwiches would you make? And then you have, if you wanted to make 4 sandwiches, how many slices of cheese would you need? Those are what you are responsible for. Okay? Now, that's if we have bread, right? And some of this is kind of common sense that, okay, for example here, if I want to make 10 sandwiches, each one takes 3 pieces of ham, then yeah, I'm going to need 3 slices of ham, okay? That's a practical sense of how we can use our conversions in order to figure out, well, what do we need to actually make a sandwich? But then we can also use these in a chemistry sense, all right? So write the chemical equation for the synthesis of water below. So that equation is 2H2 plus O2 gives you 2H2O, all right? And then the coefficients in a balanced chemical equation represent the number of moles. Okay, so that's number of moles. So for example here we have 2 moles of H2, 1 mole of O2, and 2 moles of H2O. Okay, so if we look again here, all right, kind of just told you this one. But using the equation above, how many moles of hydrogen do you have? Answer below. So we have 2 moles of hydrogen, we have 1 mole of oxygen, and then 2 moles of water. Okay? So now, here's our next little question. You are given 0.985 moles of hydrogen and need to convert it to moles of water. Perform the conversion below. So we're starting this out the exact same way that we did with our sandwiches. So 0.985 moles of hydrogen, so H2. Okay? So we need mole of H2 on the bottom to cancel out, and then we're trying to get to this moles of water. So we need moles of H2O on the top. Okay? Now, just like we did here, so whenever we were doing our sandwich up here, okay, we used these coefficients whenever we were converting, right? So here we started with 7 sandwiches, 1 sandwich, so that was that coefficient, 2 slices of bread, 2 came from here. And what do you know? We're going to do the exact same thing whenever we're talking about our actual chemical equation. So up here we see that the coefficient for H2 is 2. Put a 2 right there. Moles of H2, what do you know? It's a 2. Okay, so now what we have to do is we have to go through and actually do this math. And so what happens is in your calculator, you would type 0.985 times 2, and then you're going to divide it by 2. And whenever you do that, you're going to get 0.985 mole of H2O. Okay, and the reason for that is this 2 divided by 2 is the same thing as 1. Okay, now let's keep going. Okay, so we're still using this same equation. Okay, so now you're given 2.6 moles of oxygen, so 2.6 moles of O2. That's what we're given. That's why I'm writing it down like this. And we need to convert it to moles of water. So mole of O2 would go on the bottom in order to cancel out. We're trying to get to water, so mole of H2O goes on the top. Again, we're looking at the coefficients here in order to figure out what to put for a conversion. So I see this would be 1 because there's nothing there, so it's understood to be 1. And then mole of H2 is going to be 2. And I got that from that coefficient. And so this time, what we're going to do is 2.6 times 2 is going to give us 5.2 mole of H2O. Okay? Then you are given 7.3 moles of H2O, and you need to convert it into hydrogen. So mole of H2O, and then we need to convert it to mole of H2. So here our coefficient for water is 2, and then our coefficient for hydrogen is 2, so that would just be 1. So 7.3 moles of H2O. Okay? Now, you are given 4.9 moles of H2O, and you need to convert it to moles of oxygen. So again, whatever I start with, I have to put on the bottom in order to cancel out, and I'm trying to get to oxygen this time. So moles of O2. Well, if we come back up here and look, our coefficient for H2O is 2. So we put a 2 right here. Our mole of O2, that coefficient is 1. So this time, what we're going to do is we're going to take 4.9 and we're going to divide it by 2. And whenever you do that, you get 2.45 moles of O2. Okay? So I want you to try this one. You were given 2.5 moles of hydrogen, so you would start with your 2.5 moles of H2, and then you are going to be going to oxygen. Okay? So you try this one, and then I also want you to try this next one. You're given 3.7 moles of oxygen, and you need to convert it to moles of hydrogen. Perform the conversion below. So 3.7 moles of O2, perform your conversion, and then your answer. And again, on these, you are still using the same equation. So for this one and this one, you are using your same equation of your 2H2 plus O2 gives you 2H2O. All right, now let's talk about this. So define a mole ratio, right? So a mole is concerned. That's what we've been doing whenever we are writing down our amount of moles or with our coefficients. So a mole ratio is the ratio between the amount in moles of any two compounds in a chemical reaction. Okay, and then the way that we do this is that we use coefficients, which that should be. So use coefficients. So what do you use to determine a mole ratio? Use coefficients from your chemical equation. So what we just did here, where we looked up here, for example, and we had our 2H2 plus O2 gives us 2H2O, and then our mole, this right here is our mole ratio, all right, where we have our coefficient. We're essentially saying that for each mole of oxygen, there's going to be 2 moles of H2O. So that ratio would be 2 to 1. That's what a mole ratio is. Okay, so here we've got methane burns in oxygen according to the following equation. So CH4 plus 2O2 gives you CO2 plus 2H2O. Label the names of the substances in the equation above. So this CH4 is what we call methane. Y'all know oxygen. You should know carbon dioxide at this point. We've talked about it quite a bit. And then good old water. Okay, we all know water. So what we're going to do next is we're going to write down some mole ratios. Alright, so I just rewrote down my equation here. Alright, what is the mole ratio of methane to oxygen? So remember, this is methane. So 1 mole of methane. And notice that whatever comes here first, that's what I'm writing down here. Equals, what is, and then oxygen, 2 mole of O2. So again, 1 mole of CH4 equals 2 moles of O2. Okay? Then, what is the mole ratio of oxygen to methane? So now, since we're starting with oxygen, we would have oxygen first equals 1 mole of CH4. Okay? Now, how many moles of oxygen would be required to react completely with 6.57 moles of methane? Show your work. So 6.57 moles of CH4. So we're doing the exact same thing that we just did with water. So we need moles of CH4 on the bottom, and then we're trying to get to moles of oxygen. So right here where it says how many moles of oxygen, that's what we're trying to get to. Okay? And we're still going to be using this equation up here. So the fact that if I look at CH4, I have a 1. If I look at oxygen, I have a 2. So this is that coefficient. So my mole ratio up here is exactly what we just said. 2 moles of O2 equals 1 mole of CH4. all right, and we had just done that. So now if we come over here and we plug in to our calculator, we should get 13.4 moles of O2. So nothing is changing here, all right? How many moles of water, that's what we're looking for, would be produced when 1.42 moles of oxygen, so 1.42 moles of O2 react with methane. Show your work below. So here's mole of O2. We would have to put mole of O2 on the bottom in order to cancel out. We're trying to get to moles of water. So we put that on the top, and then we're going to come back up here and we are going to look at our equation. So we see that 2 is the coefficient for O2, so we put a 2 right there. We look up here for mole of H2O, its coefficient is a 2. We know that 2 divided by 2 is just going to be 1, so this answer is going to be 1.42 moles of O2, of H2O. Okay, and then I want you to try this one on your own as well. So how many moles of carbon dioxide would form when 5.94 moles of CH4 react with oxygen? So you're trying to find carbon dioxide, okay? And so just to recap really fast, the ones that you are trying to solve for, you are looking for this one, the 3 slices of cheese. You are looking for this for sandwiches, how many slices of cheese. You are looking for, you are given 2.5 moles of hydrogen, need to convert it to oxygen. You're given 3.7 moles of oxygen, need to convert it to hydrogen. And then how many moles of carbon dioxide would form when 5.94 moles of methane react with oxygen. Those are what you are responsible for. And again, whenever you upload this, so whether you wrote all these, like the bold parts out on a separate sheet of paper, or if you had a copy of this and you printed it out and then wrote on it, okay? When you upload that into the assignment on Schoology, these ones with the asterisks is what I'm going to be looking for to see how you did them and if you did them correctly or not. Okay? If you have any questions about this, then please let me know.